At your headlines this afternoon.
No election until the Act is amended. A statement from Minister Dallas Alaha Perima. 100,000 litres of nano-nitrogen to be brought down from India tonight. 600,000 doses of the Pfizer vaccine brought down to Sri Lanka.
In your top story this afternoon, the birth of Prophet Muhammad or Miladun Nabi is being celebrated across the world today. Prophet Muhammad was born in 571 AD in Mecca, Saudi Arabia.
Prophet Muhammad spread the word of Islam across the world and was the messenger of God. Issuing a message to mark Miladun Nabi, President Gotabaya Rajapaksa says the best way to pay special respect to Prophet Muhammad is to strive to further disseminate his vision to strengthen coexistence among the people. The message read, quote, "It is most timely than ever before to apply the humanitarian philosophy of the Prophet Muhammad maintained throughout his life towards social welfare today." End quote. Prime Minister Mahinda Rajapaksa in his message to mark Miladun Nabi says, quote, "The vision of the Prophet was always to fill human society with virtue of wisdom and non-violence," end quote, adding that he believes all Muslim people following Prophet's wisely construed way can give their maximum contribution for a better society. The Prime Minister said, quote, "I remind the Islamic devotees to follow the example of the Prophet in their lives in order to overcome such difficult times in the face of the COVID-19 pandemic," end quote. The leader of the opposition, Sajid Premadasa, says that the Prophet's vision of loving all creatures of the world will guide the actions of everyone in their daily lives. Issuing a message on the occasion of Miladun Nabi, the opposition leader said that he would like to extend his wishes to all Muslims who are working for the betterment of their lives through the teachings of the Prophet Muhammad.
A program to plant saplings was held under the auspices of the Minister of Justice, President's Council Ali Sabri, in line with the commemoration of the birth of Prophet Muhammad. Even in the past, all communities in Sri Lanka, be it Sinhala, Burgher or Muslim, worked together. I believe that was the concept of Prophet Muhammad as well. That is what he preached, and that is what Lord Buddha preached. And it is also what Jesus Christ preached. They said, "Love your neighbor." Lord Buddha preached to do good to all forms of life, and Prophet Muhammad asked all followers to work together with everyone. So I believe that we must understand this very well. With COVID-19 pandemic spreading in the country, we must have a good understanding of the value of life.
කොරෝනා වසංගතයත් එක්ක මොකක්ද ලැබෙන ජීවිතේට ලැබෙන වටිනාකම කියන එක පිළිබඳව ඔබට අපිට හැමෝටම අවබෝධයක් තියෙන්නට ඕන. මුහම්මද් නබි නායකතුමාණන් මේ ලෝකේ
Prophet Muhammad's message to the world was a message of peace. The life of Prophet Muhammad exemplifies how any problem that arises can be solved amicably through discussions.
නබි නායකතුමාණන් තමන්ගේ ජීවිත කාලයේදී ලස්සනටම පැහැදිලි කරලා තමන්ගේ ක්‍රියාවෙන් ඔප්පු කරලා දුන්නා.
The fertilizer crisis continues to adversely affect the farmers in the country.
Agrarian organizations of Koggala Ambalantota staged a protest today demanding for fertilizer. The farmers demanded that an arrangement be made at least allowing them to purchase fertilizer. 9,000 acres of paddy is cultivated in Ridiagama. Farmers in Mahiyangane pleaded to the gods requesting for fertilizer. The ritual was organized by the Samakijana Balavega at the 49th mile post in Mahiyangane this morning.
Questions were raised regarding the shortcomings in the availability and supply of organic fertilizer during today's cabinet media briefing. With regard to the tea industry, the tea harvest has reduced drastically due to the shortage of chemical fertilizer. Will the government provide a solution to this issue? The government is very well aware of this. As of now, the government has come to a clear decision that liquid nano fertilizer will be imported to the country soon and distributed. The secretary to the Ministry of Agriculture yesterday confirmed that a consignment of this fertilizer will be brought to the country today. There was no reduction in the tea production in Sri Lanka in the past, but now we accept that there is a reduction in the production of tea leaves. We have taken steps to import this fertilizer. We will be able to distribute sufficient stocks of this fertilizer within a month. The government is not of a harsh or stubborn stance on any matter. This is not a bad policy. This is a good policy. But the debate is on the time frame. It will take some time for us to reach our goals. During that time, we will look at the issues of the farmers, their harvest and their economic issues as well. When the need arises, taking one step back is not a bad thing.
In headline-making news this afternoon, 100,000 litres of nano-nitrogen from India is due to be brought down to Sri Lanka tonight. Secretary to the Ministry of Agriculture, Professor Udit Jayasinghe says the stock of fertilizer will be brought down by a Sri Lankan Airlines flight. He says the stock of fertilizer will be distributed among selected farmers identified in certain areas who have already begun their cultivations. The Secretary added that the distribution of the fertilizer will begin on the 21st and 22nd of this month. Farmers of the Vikadavala D9 settlement in Udayagala have abandoned their cultivations.
Farmers of the Vakhandavala D9 settlement point out that the authorities have failed to supply fertilizer required for their cultivations. None of the farmers have prepared their lands for the Maha season. However, farmers in Vakhandavala point out that the irrigation officials have been releasing water to the area since the 15th. Farmers point out that it is a crime to release water to their paddy fields as they have not tilled their lands for cultivation.
No one requested for water. They have given us water by force. None of the farmers will step into their fields. We do not have fertilizer, so the water is being wasted. We kindly request you to close the sluice gates and prevent that water from being wasted. While the leaders remain silent, we have been severely affected due to this crisis. We have no fertilizer to cultivate our fields.
Meanwhile, the opposition expressed views regarding the committees and task forces appointed by the government to promote green agriculture in the country. We saw that the government, especially the president, who spoke about importing organic fertilizer into the country, is now making comments on a green agricultural sector. They have now refrained from organic fertilizer initiative and now they are promoting something called the green agriculture. A presidential task force has been appointed for this task as well. 8 people out of 14 members of this task force are engaged in various businesses. They either produce fertilizer or agrochemicals. This is like giving the fox to guard the chickens. This is an agenda to destroy the agriculture sector of our country. The Samagi Jana Balawege staged a protest in Vellava today, raising the issues of the rising cost of living in the country and the shortage of fertilizer.
Potassium chloride then ganalla.
Potassium chloride is brought down from Lithuania and given to the farmers without carrying out any tests, but that is needed when the cultivations mature. Mud fertilizer was not provided. This is the time when the seeds are sowed in Kurunagal district and across the country. Who is taking these bad decisions? This situation is the result of such bad decisions taken. Organic fertilizer was imported from China. National Fertilizer Secretariat has rejected this due to bacteria and various minerals being included in the fertilizer. The Minister of Agriculture then said that this ship carrying the stock of fertilizer will be sent back, but now we have received news about this ship returning to Sri Lanka by the 25th. That is, carrying Chinese feces and garbage known as organic fertilizer from China. The farmers have been heavily impacted. The crops they have cultivated this season have been completely destroyed. The country will face a famine by next April. They should implement a program to provide the required fertilizer to the farmers.
General Secretary of the Janata Vimukti Peramuna, Tilvin Silva, expressed his views on the teachers' principal salary anomaly issue during a media briefing held today.
The government that promised to solve the teachers' and principals' salary anomaly issue and came into power using the mandate of teachers and principals are now tormenting the public. According to the government proposed salary increments, primary teachers will only be provided with a raise of 1,250 rupees per month. If you think about this, the price of gas alone has been increased by 1,257 rupees. We believe that an election will be held next year. Against such a backdrop, certain politicians have been giving millions to members of their parties in order to carry out their election campaigns in rural areas. They are giving this money to carry out small projects in villages for their election campaigns. The government is able to allocate funds for such activities, but unfortunately have failed to solve the teachers and principal salary anomalies issue. It is the government that politicized this issue in the first place to secure their votes. They used this problem to come into power. The government is responsible for making these promises to the people. The Janata Vimukti Peramuna is not trying to take advantage of this situation. You can solve this issue and silence us. We are not behind this struggle. We are at the forefront of this struggle. We are among the leaders. It is our responsibility to fight for the people of this country. We are dedicated to solving the people's issues. The farming community of our country are currently facing a fertilizer crisis. We will fight for them as well. Our country will definitely experience a famine in about another 6 months. The government has ruined our country. All that the government does is print money and obtain loans. And through that, the leaders of this country are enjoying their lives and looting the people's money. Cases are being dismissed, thieves are being released, while the people of this country have been adversely affected.
Is Sri Lanka headed for default? A report published by Fitch Rating had commented on the financial situation of the country.
In the report, the director of Sovereigns Fitch Ratings said, and I quote, "Sri Lanka's public and external finances remain fragile as reflected in our CCC rating in place since November 2020 and affirmed in June this year," end quote. The report adds that A rating at this level indicates substantial credit risk with default a real possibility. The report adds that Fitch Rating has revised down the growth forecast for 2021 to 3.3% from 3.8% following a surge in coronavirus cases in July to August, which has now subsided. Commenting on the 6th monthly roadmap published in October by the Central Bank of Sri Lanka, the report states that the authorities have outlined plans to secure funds through bilateral, multilateral and other syndicated loans, but the financing plans contain limited details, including the sources and timelines of financing arrangements. In the report, Fitch Rating states that it has flagged the need for more enduring improvements in the external and public finances.
Will bus fares increase? The All Ceylon United Private Bus Association elaborated on the issues faced by the bus industry at a media briefing held this morning.
The tyre that was at 54,000 rupees is now 80,000 rupees. The liner that was priced at 4,000 rupees is 7,000 rupees now. The clutch was priced at 5,500 but now it's 10,000 rupees. A metal board that costed 5,100 rupees is now 11,500 rupees. The price of everything has doubled. It has come to a point where we cannot continue our operations. Even when there was a Consumer Affairs Authority, sugar companies decided the price of sugar, and rice prices were set by rice mill owners. Gas prices were set by gas companies. Just as the Consumer Affairs Authority was standing by and waiting, the National Transport Commission is now waiting to decide the bus fare. We need a proper bus fare or we should be provided with relief. If a decision is made and we are given a proper bus fare, we will continue our operations. If not, we will have to go on strike in the future.
Minister of Justice Ali Sabri says the new draft constitution will be handed over to the President soon.
අපි අලුත් ව්‍යවස්ථාවක් ගැනීම සඳහා
The legal team and the expert panel appointed by us to draft a new constitution will prepare their report and submit it to His Excellency the President soon. We hope that by gathering all the information and ideas obtained from all the people, we will have the opportunity to draft a good constitution that will lead the Sri Lankan community towards diversity and unity.
ශ්‍රී ලාංකීය ප්‍රජාව තුළ විවිධත්වයේ ඒකීයත්වය කරා යන හොඳ ව්‍යවස්ථාවක් හදන්න අපිට අවස්ථාව ලැබෙයි කියලා අපි බලාපොරොත්තු වෙනවා.
There are several rounds of discussions in this regard. There is a select committee in Parliament and they work on various issues. It is the top leadership of the government that decides all of this.
රජයේ ඉහළ නායකත්වය තමයි ඒක තීරණය කළ යුතු.
තුන්කර නඩුවේදී විත්තිකරු අදින් මයින් කරන්නේ නැතිව නතු කටයුතු කරගෙන යනවා. ඒක කරගන්න පුළුවන්.
අපිට දිගින් දිගටම ඔහුව බලහත්කාරයෙන් අපිට
We cannot bring him down by force. The Attorney General is making legal negotiations with the Attorney General in Singapore. However, we have not received a positive response yet. That is why the Attorney General decided to hear this case in absentia.
තීරණය කරලා තියෙන්නේ ඔහු නැතුව මේ නඩු විභාගය කරන්න.
අධිචෝදනා ලැබුණු පුද්ගලයන් පවා නඩු වලින් තොරව නිදහස එළියට එනවා. ප්‍රත්‍යක්ෂයෙන් උදා වෙලා තියෙනවා.
නීතිපතිතුමා ස්වාධීනව.
The Attorney General is working independently. The Attorney General is the person who decides whether a case can proceed or not, or if there is enough evidence to prosecute. He has been given that freedom by the law. We cannot interfere with it. Personally, I will not interfere.
දීලා තියෙනවා. ඒකට අපිට ඇඟිලි ගහන්න බෑ. පෞද්ගලිකව මම ඇඟිලි ගහන්නෙත් නෑ.
In more local news, the Ministry of Health says children living in Colombo have not experienced any complications during the vaccination drive carried out in the Colombo municipality.
අධ්‍යාපන දෙපාර්තමේන්තුවෙන් දීපු
The total number of children listed by the Department of Education was 20,688, but the attendance of children for the vaccination on the first day was only 45% of the head count that was given. The number increased a little on the second day, so we had about 54 to 55% of students coming in on the second day. About 15,000 were vaccinated and we have no reports of any complications in any child. All our medical offices will be open from 9 a.m. to 1 a.m. next Saturday for parents who are unable to get their children vaccinated. Children of the ages of 13, 14, 18, 19 years of age can get their vaccines accordingly.
එක දක්වා සියලුම අපේ වෛද්‍ය නිලධාරී කාර්යාල විවෘතව පවතිනවා.
Another consignment of 608,000 Pfizer vaccine doses manufactured in the United States reached the island this morning. The consignment was dispatched to Sri Lanka from Doha, Qatar. According to the epidemiology unit, 39,862 people were administered the COVID-19 jab yesterday. The epidemiology unit stated that 14,785,189 have received one dose of a COVID-19 vaccine. 12,818,379 people have received both doses of the COVID-19 vaccine.
2 murders were reported from Mundalama and Angulana.
Crime Watch.
A 28-year-old individual was stabbed to death in Madurankulia, Mundalama last night. According to police, the murder was committed by a man who is said to be the illegitimate husband of the deceased's mother.
Crime Watch.
Meanwhile, a 40-year-old man was murdered in Angulana. Police say that the husband of the deceased's sister had assaulted him with a sharp weapon and committed the murder. The suspect is currently in police custody.
Crime Watch.
With that, we wrap up this edition of Lunchtime News here on TV1. For details of these stories and much more, you can log on to our website, which is www.newsfirst.lk. Thank you for watching. A very good afternoon and take care.